Welcome, everybody. Today, I am Adam Ringham, also known as Adam Ocean, and I am a co-founder and co-creator and co-everything of Glycogenics, along with my extremely genius partner, Joey Phillips. And we started Glycogenics to really create something different from what's out there. And so today, we're going to be having a really special talk on what's called mom brain. So what's important to understand is that mom brain is pretty much for like any woman over the age of 18 or so because it supports so many components. But we just called it mom brain because I was inspired by my beautiful wife Carrie of we've got four beautiful children. They're a little bit younger and they are an absolute handful. And so we talk with so many moms and so many women that just have the stress and the brain fog and the hormones out of whack and their memory is shot and just the energy and the mood. And so we have just like a complete dilemma for so many women. Joey and I, my genius partner, wanted to create this just incredible product to be able to help out with it because we hear the stories all the time. So without further ado, what we're going to do is we're just going to jump right into the presentation rather than me babble on too far. So let's go talk about Mom Brain, the ingredients, the benefits, how it works, what it does, and all the amazing things that it does since we formulated it and put it together. So the big thing is mom brain. It is cognitive, emotional, and even trauma support for women. So it's support for women of all ages, with or without kids, seeking for cognitive enhancement, emotional resilience, hormonal balance, and even extra trauma reconciliation as a support bonus because we put a really special ingredient in we're going to talk about. So beyond mom brain, this is support for literally every woman, women in their 20s and 30s that are navigating career demands and life transitions. Anybody that's got cognitive challenges, postpartum issues, they need neurological support. So women 20s, 30s, even 40s that are just really navigating career demands, life demands, family demands, friend demands, social demands. Women over 40 experiencing their perimenopause and menopausal shifts. Women without children seeking neurologic protection, cognitive enhancement, women processing trauma, seeking emotional resilience. I mean, because unfortunately, trauma is in no short supply in the world these days. So it is for literally every woman over about 18 all the way to 100. So we provide cutting edge neurotropics, adaptogenic compounds to really address the neurological needs at every stage of life for every woman, just creating this foundation for mental clarity, emotional, hormonal balance, memory. So the science of mom brain, we really hit a four-pillar approach. We wanted to do cognitive enhancement, having compounds that boost memory, boost focus, boost information processing by enhancing neural connectivity and brain cell health. We also wanted to, right, which goes right along with cognitive enhancement, do emotional resilience, that we wanted to add neurotransmitters and mood boosters that promote mood stability, stress resilience, anxiety reduction, and balancing the brain chemistry. And we really wanted to come in with neuroprotection of anti-inflammatory and antioxidant compounds, defending against the oxidative damage, like really looking for the long-term brain health. And on top of that, we wanted to do hormonal balance as well, because every single woman with the toxicity that's out there of xenoestrogens that are just all over the place, and then with stress throwing them off as well, we wanted to really add adaptogens and botanicals that help regulate these hormonal fluctuations that really can impact your cognitive function, your emotional well-being. And the big thing is with our hormonal balance, we are not forcing anything. We are not adding anything artificial or synthetic or trying to override or force any of the systems. What we're doing is trying to support them so that they can work optimally for the perfect hormone levels that they're supposed to be. So the key benefits: enhanced mental clarity, sharper focus, improved memory, reduced brain fog, whether you're managing a household, building a career, or both. So we're looking for emotional equilibrium as well. So support for the neurotransmitter balance, stabilize the mood, reduce the anxiety, and really build resilience against just the daily bombardment of stressors. We really want hormonal harmony. What's really fun, we even put in some trauma reconciliation as well to help support because unfortunately, there are a lot of women with a lot of trauma. The world is a pretty crazy place to be for the past however long. So the other thing too is we're really looking at we want long-term brain health, not just a quick like, yay, I feel good and that's the end of it. We really want this to be compounding for long-term brain health as well as doing stress resilience. So these cortisol regulating compounds help for your brain and body to maintain this balance even during high pressure and high stress periods. So even though this says mom brain, it is not just for mothers. It's for women 18 to 100 looking for their career advancement support, enhanced focus, creative thinking, stress management, emotional processing tools for life transitions. Because there's a lot of people going through a lot of big life transitions, relationship challenges, past trauma, or even age-related cognitive protection, working with hormone fluctuations, oxidative stress, and the brain just going downhill after a while. We're also looking to optimize sleep and really look at this long-term brain health through these neuroprotective compounds and neuroplasticity enhancement and promotion. So this supports cognitive performance and emotional balance for women in professional roles, whether they have children or not, mothers, people whose children have even left the house, people who are just older who don't have children. It works with all of these. So we got this really cool compound we found called Garcinia indica. And it's this trauma reconciliation powerhouse that's kind of like, it's sort of where we started with it to go, hey, there's so many people, if we could just help reconciliate this trauma, this remarkable botanical really kind of helps the brain edit stressful memories because the brain isn't an exact recorder. It doesn't record it records it through a lens of your emotional perspective. And so what's fun about Garcinia indica is it modulates serotonin and dopamine. And so it does numerous things, but one of it of modulating serotonin and dopamine, this helps us to reframe negative emotional associations as you move through it. We're working on protecting the hippocampus, which is the memory center, from stress-induced damage, also enhancing neuroplasticity to develop new, healthier neural connections and really encode in the hardware for this reframing of events. We're supporting CREB activation, essential for adaptive learning and memory formation, and reducing oxidative stress in the brain, specifically those associated with emotional processing. So these mechanisms, when we combine them all together, create this really optimal neurological environment for processing difficult experiences with less emotional activity. So Garcinia indica's unique ability to promote this positive memory reconciliation makes it invaluable for women with that if you're processing past trauma, chronic stress, emotional burnout, all of these things are it's all wrapped in together because on a daily basis the women are hit with so much from not only just the life around them, men that kind of need to put their big boy pants on, things that have happened in their past, or if you've got children or just the stress of everything, life transitions. Just imagine even just a life transition of being able to emotionally reframe it and kind of have the support to go, you know what, this transition might be difficult, but boy, it's probably good for me and it's probably what I need. So the trauma recovery pathway from this is memory reframing. Garcinia indica helps to soften traumatic memory encoding, helping to reduce emotional triggers. Because the thing is, when we hit a trauma state, and we're not just talking any like physical abuse or emotional abuse, but a trauma state of any kind, life transition, hard day at work, to kids ticking you off, whatever else it is. The problem is when this happens, these stress hormones drive in that memory hard. And this is an ancient adaptation that has a good purpose behind it to say, hey, if something stressful happens, we need you to learn as fast as possible from the situation. So if it was a fight or flight, you're getting attacked by a bear or a saber-tooth tiger or whatever back in the past, the brain would learn as fast as possible, what do I do to get out of this if I survive this? The problem is now because we're hit with so much stress, and this is where we've got stress response stabilization. We've got phosphatidylserine, phosphatidylcholine, and agmatine. These help normalize that cortisol so you're not getting this cortisol emotional dump that's reframing your memory the wrong way. We're helping to soften that so we're not driving home all this stress and all this trauma and all these challenges every single day in a negative way. We're looking to reframe them and soften it and over time use even bring up past memories and soften them to be able to emotionally reframe them. So we've got 5-HTP, L-tyrosine, and GABA just really help restore optimal levels of mood regulating chemicals. We've got neurological repair through curcumin and PEA, which they are really great compounds, especially paired together. And we've got new neural pathways we're supporting through CREB and BDNF activation. This promotes the growth of new and healthier new neural connections. So this comprehensive approach like addresses the psychological and the physiological aspects of trauma, of stress, of emotional recovery and healing, and cognitive recovery as well. So we've also got hormonal support for women over 40, but the thing is, it doesn't just support women over 40, it's hormonal support for anyone, pretty much any woman 18 plus, because there's so many xenoestrogens out there that are just disrupting women's hormones. So it's not just the perimenopausal and menopausal transitions, it's the estrogen progesterone balance, chasteberry and watercress. Help your body just to modulate not only hormonal fluctuations that affect your mood and cognition, but also the environmental toxicity, microplastics, xenoestrogens, pesticides, herbicides. These all act as different hormones that can throw your body off. So we've added neuroprotective compounds, phosphatidylserine and curcumin. We've got neurotransmitter support, GABA, 5-HTP. We've got memory enhancement, Garcinia indica, phosphatidylcholine. These support healthy memory functions, which can be impacted by changing estrogen levels or even physical toxicity. And we've got HPA axis regulations like Panax ginseng to help normalize a stress response that can become really dysregulated as time goes along. So this multifaceted approach really helps to smooth the cognitive and emotional challenges that many women experience, not only during hormonal transitions, but life transitions, stress, job, children, you name it. So we can really provide this mental clarity and emotional clarity. So we support stress and anxiety reduction through a really unique biochemical approach. So we've got cortisol regulation through the HPA axis that we help to normalize cortisol production, phosphatidylserine, adaptogenic herbs. This prevents the cognitive impairment and mood disruption associated with chronically elevated stress hormones. How many people do we know that have that? Like everybody. So GABA enhancement, we help support optimal levels of gamma, which is the brain's kind of like primary inhibitory transmitter. It's the neurotransmitter that says, hey, put the brakes on. So when you've got anxiety, racing thoughts, stress-induced insomnia, we want mental calm without sedation. And that's where GABA comes in to just like put the brakes on this. So your brain goes, wait, instead of these racing, reoccurring thoughts of that are just plaguing me, the brain can go, no, let's put the gentle brakes on it. We're not going to slam the brakes, but we're going to start gently pressing on the brakes and go, hey, let's slow down a little bit. And what we do, the 5-HTP serves as a precursor to serotonin, the neurotransmitter associated with mood regulation and well-being. So this way, while we're gently pushing the brakes, what we're doing is lifting your mood naturally. We're not forcing anything. This is not an SSRI. It's just saying, let's help support these healthy levels of serotonin that get burnt out while gently applying the brakes, and let's regulate that stress and let's bring down neuroinflammation through curcumin and PEA that we can counteract this inflammation cascade from the extra stress. So we're addressing it both at hormonal origins and neurological aspects just to create this sustainable calm and mental clarity, no matter what your situation is in life if you're a woman. So we really also too wanted to enhance focus and neuroprotection through CREB enhancement, which is a critical protein for memory formation and learning, BDNF promotion, which is brain-derived neurotropic factor. This is one of the main compounds and fertilizers, basically for the brain to grow new neural connections and repair old ones. We've got acetylcholine support, which is a neurotransmitter essential for information processing, attention, and learning. We've got neuroinflammation reduction with PEA and agametine sulfate for reducing the inflammatory compounds that impair this whole process. And we're doing mitochondrial enhancement. So we support cellular energy so the brain cells have sustained energy to work through these. So they work synergistically to support support attention, information processing, mental endurance, emotional processing and resilience, and then also stress recovery without the jitters or crashes. Because that's the thing, we didn't want to just push out some kind of supplement that had a bunch of stimulants in it. That hey, cool, now you're great. We're artificially forcing the body to give you energy, and now you're just addicted to stimulants. And if you ever try to quit, we really did not want to do that. We wanted to say, let's give long-term sustainable support, not a quick, here's a band-aid for a couple of days of, like, hey, great, I got to drink my Starbucks, Frappuccino or whatever. I got to drink three of them a day because now I'm addicted to the sugar and the caffeine. That's not what we were looking for. We were looking for long-term sustainable. So we got a synergistic formula. We've got Garcinia indica. We've got phosphatidylserine, phosphatidylcholine, 5-HTP, GABA, curcumin, PEA, L-tyrosine, mucuna purians. So we're basically helping with dopamine production, motivation, focus, reward processing, anti-inflammatory, reduce neuroinflammation, reducing oxidative stress, encouraging neuroplasticity, adding the neurotransmitter precursors that support mood stability, stress resilience, healthy sleep, help to counteract anxiety and emotional reactivity. We're working with neuronal membrane health, neurotransmitter release, cortisol regulation for memory formation, cognitive processing, and then helping to reframe emotionally the past traumas and even current traumas with Garcinia indica. Like, how much fun is this, you guys? So we've also got great postpartum support. This was sort of like the original intention, but it evolved into going, wait a second. If we change the ingredients just a little bit to not make it just specifically postpartum, we can say, wait a sec, there's a lot of overlaps with postpartum and chronic stress and trauma and physical toxicity out there, xenoestrogens, microplastics, herbicides, pesticides. So it's been evolved to really support women at all stages of life. So the original formation was really kind of for the postpartum support for my wife who's getting a little bit older, but we went, wait, let's just make it for all women so we can do hormone stabilization for all ages, sleep deprivation mitigation. We can do better memory formation. We can do better mood regulation. We can do better stress resilience. And so, I mean, because the postpartum period's a really dramatic neurological transition in women's lives. And we just kind of looked at it and went, actually, pretty much every woman of any age is facing these same challenges. So we're taking it all the way from women 18 plus to mothers with older kids, to even women when they're starting to get in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. It can help support them. So a big thing that we're really looking on too of this focus on trauma recovery. We're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive because so many women have so much trauma, unfortunately. The neurological impact of it, unfortunately, these neurological patterns, they exist way after the original experience. And it can really impact cognitive function, emotional well-being, and just how even you react to certain things in your day. So the neurological impact of trauma, hyperactive amygdala, the fear center. So this fear center is always active, always pumping out cortisol. And this reduces hippocampal volume. So now all of a sudden, like it causes literally trauma and stress cause physical brain damage if it's strong enough or long enough or both. So all of a sudden the hippocampus doesn't work anymore. You can't encode new memories from short-term memory to long-term memory because the hippocampus has been impacted. You get imbalanced stress hormone production, you get locked in fight or flight. And so now we're getting disrupted neurotransmitter situations. We're getting chronic inflammation. So mom brain's trauma support with the Garcinia indica really helps to calm this amygdala reactivity. PS and PC, phosphatidylserine, phosphatidylcholine, they support hippocampal regeneration, meaning the switchboard in your brain that does short-term memory to long-term memory, let's start regenerating that. And let's work with neurotransmitter balances, 5-HTP, GABA, L-tyrosine, keep your mood where it's supposed to be naturally just to help you out. And then curcumin and PEA, they're neuroplasticity enhancements as well as reducing neural inflammation. So we're really creating this biological foundation for emotional healing, creating this optimal neurological and physiochemical environment and boosting your capacity to process and integrate difficult experiences with less activity or less reactivity and more resilience, whether it's past trauma or current trauma and current stress of any challenging situation that you have. I mean, even I've got my poor wife. She's got three kids crying someday that they're crying for no reason because they're kids. It's just an everyday stressor of being like, well, if we could help women react to any sort of emotionally pressuring and stressful experience in a more positive way, what a beautiful gift to be able to give. So, how does Garcinia Indica work with memory reconciliation? We're working with how these traumatic memories actually form due to these elevated stress hormones. This heightens emotional arousal. And so these memories become locked in with their original emotional charge. triggering more stress anytime a similar experience happens. So it makes it difficult to say bad day at work, or the kids are overreacting, or you're having relationship challenges, or a transition challenge. The problem is we got this little window for memory reconciliation, and when they're recalled, we briefly enter this malleable state called the reconciliation window before being restored. And so what we're doing is kind of hijacking that to say is we every time we're not only experiencing something in terms of a stressful event, but even the ones traumatically from the past, we're we're injecting ourselves into this little window to modify the emotional associations in a positive way gently without forcing it. So Garcinia indica has these really cool neurotransmitters involved with memory processing. And by optimizing serotonin and dopamine during active memory recall and active memory encoding, this helps create conditions where traumatic memories can be updated with reduced emotional charge or reducing the emotional charge that's happening on the memories. And then we've got neural protection effect that it basically we're doing neural protection and neuroplasticity enhancement to protect against the oxidative damage associated with chronic stress and trauma, which so many of us are under so much, especially women, helping to preserve this cognitive function and this emotional regulation capacity. So we loved Garcinia indica kind of as like a starting point to say every woman needs this so bad because of traumatic events, chronic stress, emotional burnout. Then this just is we're naturally helping support the brain's healing process. So perimenopause, menopause, and even just physical toxicity, xenoestrogens, microplastics, pesticides, herbicides, artificial perfume. I mean, they're in everything. So it's not just the perimenopause and menopause, it's just emotional resilience, or sorry, hormonal resilience, period. So we're really looking for the not only just this midlife neurological transition, but for any woman, reduce like we've got when you get into perimenopause or you get hit with microplastics or hormones disruptors, this negatively impacts the brain by reducing the neuroprotection against oxidative damage. We've got decreased glucose metabolism in key brain regions associated with mood and cognition, especially with neurotransmitters, changes in blood flow and brain tissues, dysregulated thermal regulations, impacting sleep quality. So we're addressing not just perimenopause and menopause, but women of every age with these phospholipids for neuron membrane integrity, for the hormone support, for the antioxidants, for neurotransmitter precursors, just to help keep the mood stabilized, adaptogens that support healthy HPA axis function, especially during hormonal shifts or during stress, and compounds that support mitochondrial efficiency with glucose metabolism changes through stress, trauma, hormone shifts, or just literally being poisoned from xenoestrogens, pesticides, and herbicides. So this target approach, we're really going to help smooth the cognitive and emotional challenges women experience during any time in their life. So the stress inflammation connection, chronic stress, this increases cortisol, creating this ongoing physiological strain. And this creates neuroinflammation that triggers inflammatory responses, particularly in areas of the brain related to memory and emotion. And this leads to neuronal damage, oxidative stress, reduced synaptic function, and this impairs cognitive performance and emotional regulation. Let's just be real simple with it. When you're stressed out, you've got much poorer emotional regulation, don't we? You've got completely decreased cognitive performance when you're all stressed out. So you get the symptoms of brain fog, memory lapses, mood instability, diminished focus, emotional reactivity. And this is just experienced by both men and women under chronic stress. So it's not just women, it's men too, but we're focusing on women today. And so then we get increased sensitivity. This neuronal damage just increases our sensitivity to stressors, creating this self-perpetuating cycle of I'm stressed out. So then we overreact and my brain's not functioning. We forget things and this makes us more stressed. So we get into this cycle. So we're using anti-inflammatory compounds, adaptogens, and we want to break this cycle gently by supporting the body through it to go, if you're in a hole, you can't just dig yourself out. Let's help you get out of the hole. Let's throw you a rope or a ladder or a step stool and get started. So the neuroplasticity advantage, this is the brain's ability to form new neural connections. It's essential for learning, emotional resilience, cognitive adaptation, Mom brain contains several compounds. We've got BDNF boosters like curcumin and Garcinia indica, which act like a fertilizer for growing new neural connections. We've got NGF enhancers like lion's mane and PEA to support nerve growth factor. We've got Krebs activators for being able to convert short-term memories into long-term memories. We've got microglia moderators. So these anti-inflammatory compounds help optimize the brains or the cells in the brain that are responsible for neural pruning, circuit refinement, and protecting the nerves themselves. So enhanced neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity means you get to learn faster. The brain gets to adapt and grow. Every single person of every single age. Now, this is kind of designed once again for women 18 plus, but being able to learn faster, be more emotional resilient, to have better emotional processing, to have better stress resilient, and to have your like encourage your brain to grow and learn and adapt and integrate faster. What person doesn't want that? So we go beyond brain fog for supporting cognitive clarity. We're really looking at the phosphatidylcholine and L-tyrosine. We're optimizing acetylcholine and dopamine levels because these are required for attention, learning, and they're directly related to mental processing speed. So these help with working memory optimization as well. We're supporting the prefrontal cortex, which is really critical for holding and manipulating information. And it's the foundation of complex thinking, multitasking, long-term planning, as well as impulse control. So, obviously what happens when we get stressed, how many people know about stress eating? That's decreased prefrontal cortex if like we don't have the ability to put the brakes on it and impulse control. Like, well, stress eat, here we go. Let's just eat. I know it's not good for me, but I'm gonna eat it because the prefrontal cortex has been impaired and you don't have the capacity for impulse control because that's what stress does. We also support mitochondrial support, PPQ and CoQ10, enhancing cellular energy production in the neurons so they have the energy to do their work. And then we've got things like magnesium threonate that support neural network synchronization and communication and actually help your brain. The magnesium is required not only for brain function, but to create new neural connections and synchronize the nerves. So what we're doing is saying, hey, let's bring this whole brain together rather than each one kind of operating independently because they're just each center is busy processing each part on its own. What we really want to do is whether you're managing like household, logistics, excelling in your career, navigating social dynamics, pursuing career endeavors, or just trying to get your life back together. We want to take the brain and bring the whole thing together and have it work in harmony and in unison. And so there's the sleep cognition connection. How many women have sleep deprivation, especially if you've got kids and you've been breastfeeding and you've been nursing and you've got all this stuff going on in the house? We really want to work with this sleep cognition connection. And you don't even have to have kids to have this problem. There's a ton of people have this problem. So we're really working with GABA enhancement to really help the brain power down for deep restful sleep. We're looking for cortisol regulation to bring the cortisol back to where it's supposed to be. So your body's not, even though your brain is ready, it's tired, wants to go to bed. But if you got all these stress compounds just floating around the body's going to be like, ha ha, you ain't going to bed, brain. Or the body's ready for bed because it's like just fried, and the brain's like, I'm going to sit here and think in loops. So we work with that. We do serotonin supports who actually have serotonin, melatonin, supporting healthy and sleep awake cycles. Now, we didn't put melatonin in it directly because we're not big fans of saying, hey, let's force melatonin into the body and kind of override the body's systems. Be like, no, let's support those systems so you make your own appropriately. And then we're really looking for this slow wave sleep enhancement. So the magnesium threonate supports this deep restorative sleep, which is critical for memory consolidation. When you're overtired, your brain goes to crap. It's toast. It can't remember anything. It can't think of anything. It can't focus on. So we want to get you into the deepest sleep possible as well, without sedating you, but just supporting the brain when it says, okay, brain and body, when it's time to go to bed, let's go to bed and let's get good, actual deep sleep. And this is important for getting that for toxin clearance, for memory consolidation, and for memory repair. These are critical, and we wanted to support that. So the science of mom brain, what we did is we also included synergies. We didn't just say, well, we got one compound that does this, and we got this one that does this, and let's just slap it all together and hope for the best. No. We specifically planned out every single ingredient to work with the other ingredients in it. So we get the neurotransmitter synergy, 5-HTP, L-tyrosine, GABA, serotonin, dopamine, really creating emotional stability without sacrificing motivation or focus. Because, it's one thing to just put you into a state where you're like, durr, I feel good, but I can't do anything. It's not what we want. We want you to go, you know what? I feel so good. I want to go. What chores do I have? What tasks do I have? Can I stay focused on it? We're doing membrane optimization. So we create and maintain this neuronal membrane fluidity and receptor function. So these neurotransmitters can actually like get into the cells and do their work, right? It's one thing to just like flood the synaptic cleft with a whole bunch of neurotransmitters, but the nerves can't pick them up. They don't do you any good. So we're also working with inflammation management because if you've got a bunch of inflammation, the brain's not going to work at all. And we've got hormonal balance support. We're not forcing anything. We're supporting it so the body can say, here's where my hormones are supposed to be. Let's clear off the ones that aren't supposed to be. And cortisol is a huge one because when you've got elevated cortisol, all the rest of your hormones are going to go in the toilet. Cortisol and blood sugar are at the top of the food chain that they destroy every other hormone if you don't regulate those. So rather than saying, well, let's go chase, estrogen directly or progesterone directly, be like, well, if your stress is destroying your hormones, you can't sit here and just band-aid the hormones that are out of whack. You've got to hit the reason that they're out of whack. And that's what we did with Mom Brain. So, support for young women, preventative neurological support. So, for women in their 20s and 30s, even without children, we're able to enhance your focus, your mental clarity for your academic or your career advancement. There's a lot of women want to learn, go to school, want to pick up a new skill, want to be able to do a side hustle, want to be able to set themselves up for the future. So, we're really doing with enhanced, what we're looking at is for even young women, even before you got kids starting off with saying, let's give you enhanced mental focus, mental clarity. Let's give you stress resilience. Let's give you emotional regulation during relationship or career changes. I'm pretty sure I know a lot of people, even in their 20s and 30s, a lot of women that they go through relationship transitions due to men being just the absolute disasters that they are. So, but we're also giving you cognitive endurance for long work hours, for intensive projects, or just working on yourself like you want to for those deep dives of the internal work. And really, sleep optimization despite irregular schedules or stress. How many women have just weird schedules? We want to be able to say, okay, when it's time to go to bed, get your sleep, great, but let's not put you to bed. Let's help you when it's time get to bed without forcing it. So this provides long-term protection for young women as they're moving forward and going to move into relationships and maybe start having children and start looking at their long-term future. And I mean, even into old age, the better you take care of yourself younger, the better off you are all the way down your life. So we want to build this cognitive reserve, basically like a reserve of brain power that says, hey, cool, I got stuff going on right now. Yeah, but I want to build this reserve for in the future when I step into that next stage of life. I want to have this cognitive reserve to protect me against future age-related events or so I can really take on the next step. So let's establish that neuroprotective antioxidant support early. Don't wait till it's too late. Start now so we can reduce the cumulative effects of chronic stress and these brain changes. We want to offset those as soon as possible. And we're going to support our mitochondrial health for this long-term cellular energy of saying, make sure my nerves can keep functioning at optimal levels for a long time to come. And then maintaining optimal neurotransmitter systems that tend to decline as age goes on, or especially with stress. So supporting this neurological support in early adulthood creates this foundation for this lifelong cognitive vitality and emotional resilience. Whether you become a mother or pursue other life paths doesn't matter. We want to set you up for that success. So the stress-induced cognitive impairment, there's a hidden epidemic of this because unfortunately, chronic stress, there's been so much stress for so long for so many people. Their new baseline is literally like PTSD level stress, and that's their baseline. And people think that's like a good baseline for stress. It is not. So these symptoms that are often dismissed as like normal life challenges, in reality, these symptoms reflect measurable neurobiological changes that can be addressed though. So the stress cognition cascade, the longer you've had elevated cortisol, now your hippocampus, your prefrontal cortex, and your amygdala, these brain regions critical for memory, executive function, emotional regulation, and process. Over time, it leads to shrinkage in the hippocampus. We get impaired prefrontal cortex function. So now your decision making goes out the toilet, your impulse control out the toilet, your ability to plan ahead out down the garbage. The amygdala, we get hyperactivity. So everything now just becomes emotionally triggering because the amygdala is just pumped full of cortisol. So every event becomes an emotional event because you've got so much cortisol in the body. Now we get reduced, and then we get reduced BDNF production, meaning the brain can't adapt. And then we get accelerated cognitive aging, meaning your brain ages faster. So what we really did with mom brain stress cognitive protection, we're going to moderate this cortisol receptor activity. We're going to support hippocampal function and protection. We're going to increase BDNF. We're going to make sure that the body can calm itself when it needs to, and the brain, and we're going to normalize this HPA axis function. So by addressing this neurobiological impact of stress, mom brain helps to preserve cognitive function before any of the stress happens, while the stress has already happened, after the stress has already happened, and as we're moving into the future, we're trying to move the body out of PTSD level stress as a baseline, going, this is not where you're supposed to be. Just because it's normal doesn't make it normal. So who could benefit the most? New mothers. I mean, dramatic hormonal shifts, sleep disruption, massive cognitive demands in early parenthood. So we're really helping to support them. Women in perimenopause, as the hormones start shifting, the brain starts to shift, the processing starts to shift because you're entering a new stage in life. Trauma survivors, women with past emotional wounds or ongoing stress. How many people do we know in this situation? Unfortunately, a horrifying stat, 1 in 3 women have a pretty intense amount of trauma. Now, that's not fair to them. Like, we want to be able to help you get out of that. And then also for high performers, women that are just like, okay, I'm not a mom, I don't got a relationship. I am just here to crush my life right now. Or maybe you are a mom and maybe you are in a relationship and maybe you're just looking to say, my partner and I are coming together and we're going to just absolutely crush it. High performance or high performers. This is also for you. So it's beneficial at all stages of life for women, basically 18 to 100 and let's say 300. You know what? Let's raise the bar. So let's understand this mom brain fog. Now, moms specifically know about this one. And so moms joke about this all the time. They're saying mom brain is basically used dismissively to describe the cognitive changes that women experience during motherhood, but we could also apply it to stress and trauma as well. But they reflect real neurobiological adaptations that can be supported rather than just endured. So my wife, that's the whole reason we called it mom brain. My wife is just like, I feel so stupid. I can't remember anything because there's so much going on and I've been so stressed and so sleep deprived. Well, how many women do we know that are stressed and sleep deprived? We could basically call that mom brain when you just can't, you're like, where'd I put them? Why are my keys in the freezer? One of those sorts of things. So these hormonal cascades, shifts in estrogen, progesterone, oxytocin, and we can even, these hormonal cascades happen also from physical toxicity. PEA, or sorry, microplastics, herbicides, pesticides, xenoestrogens, they're everywhere. So we get these hormonal shifts that actually causes brain changes. You get sleep fragmentation. Tons of women have sleep fragmentation. So attention relocation. The brain starts shift towards infant focused vigilance away from cognitive tasks. What this means is as your brain starts to decline and you've chewed up your cognitive reserve, the brain starts doing attention allocation, saying like, listen, I don't have time for higher level thought processing. I just got to make it through my freaking day. And so the brain just reallocates the energy because there isn't enough. And so it just says, okay, I got to survive today. I can't focus on bigger things. I just got to make it 1 foot in front of the other until hopefully I can hit the pillow and hopefully get some sleep and hopefully tomorrow's going to be better. Mom brain helps with that so much. And then this sensory hypersensitivity, this leads to baby related sensory input to create this general distractibility. So as we talked about this attention relocation, unfortunately, we've taken cognitive processing away from other brain functions and brain regions because you just don't have the energy. So this creates hypersensitivity. Things that shouldn't set you off are because you just don't have the cognitive reserve to deal with anything beyond one foot in front of the other. So we're really trying to work with this HPA axis adjustment too to just meet these demands of this shift. So understanding mom brain of actual moms too in pregnancy and motherhood, it creates lasting changes in brain structure. Like when a woman gets pregnant for years after childbirth, it's physically documented that her brain shrinks because of all the different things that go on in her life. And it's not just from children, but a woman that goes through any kind of stress or trauma, it will literally over time start to shrink the brain. But women who have children, when you get pregnant, have a baby, pretty much every woman's brain literally physically shrinks 2 to 3% because of all the shifts that you've had to go through. And this is kind of why we called it mom brain to say, listen, so many women go through this, children or not. We want to be able to support them. So we have a trauma informed formulation. So women processing trauma, processing stress, processing emotions. So, and trauma could be anything. I mean, it literally could just be you reading something on social media or watching something in a movie that just is emotionally triggering. So we're doing safety first here. We're doing a trauma-informed formula to say safety first, HPA excess stabilization. We got to get your stress levels under control for you. And then resource building. We need to build you this cognitive reserve. Not only do you have to catch up on everything you've been through in your life, but we need to create this cognitive reserve. So when something big comes up again in the future, your brain goes, I have the energy reserves and the emotional processing reserves to be able to deal with this. So we want to move you out of one foot in front of the other to, oh my gosh, I can handle my day, to, oh my gosh, I've actually got the ability to handle something big when it comes up in the future or make a giant life shift. And so we're going to really also work with memory reconsolidation because we want to reconcile all these old memories that may have all this negative emotional attachment to them. We want to reframe them because the brain's not a perfect recorder. It just emotionally encodes it and says, well, here's what I remember. Doesn't mean it's the truth, but here's how I interpreted it. So it doesn't mean that that's factual. It's just how the brain decided, here's how I'm going to encode it. That's a real thing in terms of trauma. Like anytime you get stress in it, I mean, even a positive event could be suddenly stressfully traumatic because the brain has triggers. We want to help people, we want to help women through that. And we want to build resilience through neuroplasticity so the brain can adapt, it can learn, not only just get us out of one foot in front of the other, not only, hey, I got this big life event I want to prepare for or have to deal with or a big transition, but we also want to take it so that you can, as rapidly as possible, learn, integrate, and unify the brain so that it goes, okay, I actually am now learning more rapidly than ever possible. And this gives you a gigantic edge in life. Doesn't matter who you are. The faster you can learn, the better off you are going to be. And that's a huge thing of what we really wanted to do. So the big holistic approach too, like we don't want to just say, hey, just take this supplement, it's going to fix your entire life. It is going to help you a lot. But complementary practices, sleep optimization. Put sleep first. I know you want to stay up and watch Netflix or whatever, but go to bed. Make yourself a priority. That's part of what mom brain is. It's a decision to say, I'm worth it. I'm a priority. And you got to prioritize yourself over other people sometimes because you can't pour from an empty cup. So make sure you get to sleep when you need to. Maybe it's you don't get to have the fun you want to, but you're going to get the sleep you need. Mindfulness practice. Meditation is great. Absolutely love meditation. If meditation is your thing, find prayer. Either or, go ahead and use whatever is going to work for you. You implement that prayer, meditation, both, either or. I don't care. It's your choice. Be sure to get out and move. Be sure to get nutrition. Social connection, very important. Reach out to a friend if you need to. Do a mom brain challenge with one of your friends to say, hey, we're going to both start this. We're both going to take it and let's keep up with each other. Let's keep in touch. Women are much better at this than men, but maintain these social connections. Don't just isolate yourself. If you're feeling off, reach out to your support people, be it a mom, be it a sister, be it a friend, be it a daughter, be it like whoever. Reach out and maintain that social connection and even therapy and coaching. But like, listen, there's plenty of professional help out there of people that can support you through it. I'm not going to say that this product is the only thing that's going to, I mean, it pairs with everything as a point. And the more you do for yourself, the more you're going to get out of it. This is a tool. Now, the mom brain is a very, very, very powerful tool, but it won't do everything on its own. So we did research back formulation. We did neuroscience informed. We really took cutting edge research that pretty much nobody else is doing to say we want to go so far beyond everybody else with neurotransmitter function, with neuroplasticity enhancement, with stress modulation. We want to do neuroprotection. We want to have this bioavailability optimized so when you take it, it gets into where it needs to go and gets absorbed, and we systematically design it rather than simply combining some popular ingredients. We said, listen, each ingredient that goes in needs to one have a purpose and two work with the other compounds, and then also quality assured to make sure we don't just use junk that we throw that in there. So we've got some great success stories of women out there as we're just getting started, from trauma recovery to new mothers to perimenopausal executive to a child-free professional. And just to my wife in general, she didn't take mom day, and for like 2 days, she goes, "Oh my God, my brain function is shot. I need to get back." It was super cool. Not so great that my wife lost her brain function, but it was great validation that she's like, listen, this stuff works. It keeps me on point. It keeps my memory on point, and I am so much better with the kids when they're pissing me off because we have 4 young kids. Like they're going to be challenging. So standard protocol: 3 pumps daily directly in the mouth. You can take morning or early afternoon if you want for this super cognitive support, or you could use it at night if you want it to help you sleep. So for maximum benefits, use it definitely consistently for 4 to 6 weeks. And you may want to take 3 pumps a day, twice a day for your first 3 to 4 weeks to go, listen, get me up and get me on track, and then you can back off. Some people like to do cycling of 5 days on, 2 days off, but that's really only a personal preference. Some women like to do that, but not very many. So, and it's safe for continuous use, and the benefits compound on themselves over 1 to 3 months because the brain, the stress, the hormones, they don't repair overnight. They take a little time to normalize. So, if you're pregnant, probably don't want to use this. Consult your healthcare professional. Nursing, it was formulated for nursing mothers to be able to use it, but obviously consult your healthcare professional. And then if you're on SSRIs or MAOIs, we really recommend you don't use this product, just because prescription drugs like those sorts of things are really powerful. We don't want to be overlapping and messing with that. You can talk to your doctor, but we really don't recommend it. And if you're sensitive, then just start with half a dose or spread 1 pump out over 1 pump 3 times a day over the course of the day instead of all at once. So the thing is, it's going to be subtle improvements that compound with itself. You can take more if you want to. I mean, there's some days my wife has taken 9, 12 pumps to just be like, listen, I'm having a day. I'm getting through this. Thank you, mom brain. If you want to, go ahead, do what works for you. So it's all about reclaiming your cognitive and emotional well-being. Your brain deserves the same care the rest of your body gets, and mom brain goes way beyond just the brain, though. You deserve to give yourself everything that you deserve to. And it's not just through mom brain, but women who so often prioritize everybody else over themselves. So much so you deserve to be able to prioritize yourself. Be it mom brain, be it the couple hours away that you need, taking the time for yourself, taking the things to do what you need to do for you. That's what this is all about. It's about so much more than just the product. It's about you deserve to treat yourself like how you need to be and give yourself what you need. Don't just constantly put everybody else first. Make sure you're putting yourself first when you need to, or there isn't going to be any of you left to give to anybody else. So thank you for tuning in today, you guys. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation. And we didn't even barely get into like some of the ingredients that are in there, but we wanted to give you the first step of an overview of why we were so inspired to make Mom Brain, why we're so excited about it, and how much we just, really cherish our mothers, our women, even our girls, everybody, how much you guys, you ladies, just deserve something for you. So we wanted to make a gift and wanted to make you something just super special to go. I may not be a woman, but I understand. I got a wife. I get it. I got a bunch of women in my life that I talk to. I get it. So the most I what we all we could do, Joey and I came together and said, let's do something for women, all ages, but like let's support them. Let's bring them a gift. And so we said, We got mom brain. We put a ton of time into it, really looking at the challenges, how to get the appropriate ingredients, the appropriate doses, and then not just put some hack job thing together that doesn't get absorbed. We want it to be super absorbable, and we wanted every ingredient to work with each other all directions, not just create a hodgepodge garbage can of, it's like a supplement WAP, basically, just throwing everything in. So you guys have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you, and we'll see you in the future videos.